What's up? Today, we're doing something a little bit different and really, really special. So, if you have negative items, I don't care what they are, collections, foreclosures, repossessions, you name it, if it's on your credit report and you are struggling to get results, then hey, guess what? We're going to talk about how to get these off by writing the proper dispute letter, right? How to write dispute letters that get results. Now, I need to go and fix a couple of my settings because I am live. So we're going to do that real quick. But while I'm doing this, make sure to like this live and make sure to subscribe if you have not done so, because guess what? I do this for free and it's free for you to subscribe. You don't have to do it, but hey, you know what? Completely and totally on you. Now, I'm almost done doing what I need to do, but what we're going to do is I'm going to share my screen and I'm actually going to show you how to write this dispute letter. And I also have a tool that can actually do it for you. And what we're doing is taking it out of retirement, right? So when I created the most recent round of apps and software, what I did was I retired a bunch of the old ones, right? Like the dispute project and the process project and a couple of others. So based on popular demand, because it does include a bunch of stuff that does everything for you, we're bringing it out of retirement. All right. And hopefully my audio is okay. You can hear me. Great. All right. So what I'm going to do is first let you know that if you don't want to fix your credit yourself because you, for whatever reason, know that you're going to screw it up, or you've been through this multiple times, then hey, guess what? That is okay. Not that you've been through this a couple of times and not that you have negative items, but because I am here and have been here doing this on YouTube for 8 years and I can do it for you. Possibly. We'd have to see. All right. So if you want to find out if I can do a credit sweep for you legally and permanently, head over to my740.com. Schedule a call with me and I will see if I can help. Or you can even send me a message on there, whatever. So let's take this off the screen. I'm going to share my screen as soon as I pull this tab up and we are going to get started. So you actually do not have to have anything pulled up on your end, but if you've been following me for any period of time, you may have recognized the names dispute reason generator and problem letter generator. All right. So the dispute reason generator was actually an app that I created that allowed you to plug in information like the action, justifier, element, reason, and outcome, and it would put it all together, with built-in options and whatnot, and allow you to create the perfect dispute reason. So that was actually one of the first apps that I created. After that, and these are Airtable apps, right? So if you know anything about spreadsheets, you would know how to use Airtable. So anywho, after that, I created the the problem letter generator, right? And it was something that maybe I can show you the problem letter generator right here. So you know what? We're just going to do it this way. I will show you the generator project. So anywho, we had the problem letter generator and the dispute reason generator. I put them together to create the dispute reason, the dispute project, right? So that's actually what we're going to be using today in today's live stream. But let me first share my screen so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So we're going to go to share and let's do share screen. Yes, 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 yes. All right. We are going to share my screen and I am going to go over here to the generator project. All right. So this used to be called, like I said, the dispute project, and it includes a bunch of letters and a bunch of dispute reasons and a bunch of formulas that is very simply allows you to plug in your information and create the perfect dispute letter, right? Because if you are writing your own dispute letter, what happens is you have to do all this yourself, right? So obviously, you're going to have to put in your name, your address, your date of birth, and your full social. Okay, not that difficult. But then you're also going to have to put in the date, the bureau, their address, and write your first paragraph, right? So in your first paragraph, you are going to have to answer why is this letter being written, what you want them to do, like what do you want to accomplish with this, why is it important, if you sent anything previously, they didn't, I don't know, enter the notice of dispute, you didn't receive a response from them. All that stuff goes into the first paragraph, right? And even though I'm calling it a first paragraph, it's the only paragraph. So with this, you're going to tell them this is what I want to happen. And below that's going to be your accounts, right? And with your accounts, you're going to have to do the AJERO formula, right? So the AJERO formula is going to be, just like I said, action, justifier, element, reason, and outcome. So an example of this would be, let me just scroll down. It would be delete, I don't know, delete this charge off for inaccuracy because the date last active reports as date, date, and date, right? And that's it. Your closing is going to be something like, I don't know, thank you for your attention, some crap like that. And then, of course, is going to be your name. So you can take the time to manually do all this, right? And if you are not writing a dispute letter that is simple like this, then you're probably not going to get, I don't know, I don't want to say not get results, but basically not get results, right? So wouldn't it be easier if you had a way to choose a letter, create your dispute reasons, and add in your information, your first and last name, your address, your date of birth, your social, and nobody accesses this information except for you. Now, the great thing about this tool is it creates it for you, right? So the best way for me to explain how to write the perfect dispute letter is simply to show you. So one of the reasons that we're doing this is because not just in my comments, but I'm seeing this everywhere where it's like, hey, in the first letter, are we supposed to be asking for like, method of verification, or excuse me, second letter, method of verification on the first one? Are we supposed to be, asking for an investigation, or do we just go into factual disputes? Like, dude, everything is a factual dispute. There's nothing other than a factual dispute. Even when you're asking for an investigation, it's in a factual letter. Even when you're asking for method of verification, it's in a factual letter. So there's nothing that you are sending out that is going to be anything other than a factual letter. And what does a factual letter mean? It means that you are including the information taken directly from the credit report, right? Like the date last active, or the date last paid, or the notice of dispute, or failure to enter in the notice of dispute, or the payment history. All of these elements are the things that is going to remove these things that you are disputing, like collections, charge-offs, repos, so on and so forth. So if you are not disputing this the right way, if you're not crafting the letter, with the biggest impact, then you are not going to get them removed. And you already have to realize that these things are not simple. They are not simple. It's going to take you time, and especially when it's something really, really difficult, like, I don't know, a charge-off or anything relating to a bank. Like, it still just baffles me that people think that it's going to take one round of disputes, one letter, one anything to remove these things from a credit report. And no, dude, it's not. All right. So let me show you how this works, because it's going to make this so much easier for you. So we're going to just create a fake person, and you are going to need access to either Word or Notepad, or one of the free alternatives if you don't have that, because you're going to take what the formula gives you, this result, as you can see in this column over here, and you're just going to paste it. You're just pasting 2 times. So let me show you an example. So let's call this person actually, you know what? We already used Jane. We already used Bob. We used Bob Wonder. So we are going to call this person, I don't know, Billy Bob example. You can see how fried my brain is at this hour, okay? So we have Billy Bob example, and their address is going to be exactly the same as my previous example on here. We're just going to paste that. Their date of birth and their social is going to be exactly the same. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it. And just so you know, this can be used for an unlimited, well, I think it's 1,000 rows that they give you on here, but basically, virtually, an unlimited number of clients or yourself, right? So now we have their name, we have their address, we have the social, and their date of birth. Because remember, those are the things that we need, right? We need over here in the personal information, we need name, address, date of birth, and social. Okay, so let's go back to this. And just so you know, with this app, you do not need to pay for Airtable. It's totally and completely free. Now, I am going to be giving you the link to access this if you want to. If you don't, it just makes it much easier for me to explain how to write the perfect dispute letter, because this tool does it for you. Okay, so we only have 2 steps. I probably should have said that first. If you look on the instructions tab, it's literally just in 2 sections. So we are creating the first part of the letter, and then we're going to create a dispute reason. Okay. Okay. So all we have to do now is choose a letter template. And what you're going to do with this is when you paste it to Word or to Notepad or whatever, you are going to 150,000% customize this to your specific situation, right? With the dates and balances and reasons and whatever it is. Okay. You're not going to leave it the way that I have it written. We're just using this as a structure to get your brain, turning, because a lot of people need the help with the structure, not so much anything else. It's more of understanding what I should be writing for this type of dispute. Okay. So we are going to choose, just because it's already listed on here, you can actually just click right here where it says choose a letter. This is just to show you all the different letters that are in here. So we're just you can just scroll and find any of these letters. Let's just use no response. So we have no response. Actually, I think I needed to choose that for this one right here. My bad. All right, so we have no response. Let's go back down and find that again. Where the heck was it? Right here, no response. And it's going to show you the beginning text right here where it says a letter template. Now, normally in my videos, because I am recording, I'm able to zoom in and actually show you, the smaller parts of the screen. But because we're live, I can't do that, where there's no post-production. Like you and I are here right now, okay? So you just click into this. You can actually pull up this box, and it's going to show you the text that belongs to this letter. Now, all we have to do, if you want to keep that letter, you keep it. If not, you go and find a different one that you want. We're going to go and choose a bureau. So we're going to use Experian, and it automatically fills out the information for you. So here's the thing. All we have to do is go right back next to Billy Bob example's name, and it's right here. We're just going to click into this first, you see this column that I highlighted right here? We're just going to click into the cell. We're going to Control-C to copy, or I don't know if you're using Mac, what it is on Mac, but anyways, we're going to copy it. We're going to go over to our letter, and I'm just going to get rid of this text, and I'm going to paste it. So all I have to do is get rid of these parentheses, not parentheses, but these quotes. And we are going to fix that grammatical error, and that is it. Now, we have one more step, right? We need to go in and we need to create our dispute reason. So let's go and create our dispute reason. So let's go back to the app. We're going to go over here to create a dispute reason, and this is going to allow you to basically write that AJERO dispute reason, just AJERO formula dispute reason, right? To give you the best possible chance of getting off whatever it is. And I can't stress this enough. The most important thing about your letter is the dispute reason. It's not the text at the top of the letter. You could literally write nothing other than this. Watch. I am going to show you one of the letters that I have previously written. It was literally, like the personal info is up here, right? We're just going to go down here. So pretend that we're actually in that first paragraph, and it literally said delete for inaccuracy. And then I had account 1, account 2, account 3, account 4, so on and so forth. And then I had thanks, and then their name. It was literally that simple, because none of this text matters. Like, we put it there just for protocol, but it really doesn't matter. Like, so, I mean, unless you really, 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 really need to have it there, I can promise you that the computer doesn't care about this text that you're writing right here. Okay. The only thing that matters is what we're going to write or create right now. And that is our account using the AJERO formula. So let's go do that. So again, this is a this column right here is actually for the formula, so you're not typing in there. We're going to go right over into this second column, and we are going to enter our first account. So let's say that we are disputing American Express. We're just going to put Amex. The account number is 34999, right? All I have to do is choose a dispute reason. And I think there's like, I don't know, 300 or so, maybe something like that, 125. I can't remember. There's over 100 dispute reasons in here. And again, this is literally just to keep, just to spark your mind, right, on what you should be using. So let's just say that 3 different date last, where did it go? 3 different date last activity dates reported. So we're going to choose that. All I have to do is click, copy, and go back to my letter and paste. That's it. So we're going to put that right here. I think it goes right here. I'm just a person trying to fix inaccurate information and I'm protect my rights if I have to. All right, please delete these items above. So we're going to paste it right here. All I have to do is edit the letter that I want to, the way that I want to, and that's it. I mean, it's really, really simple. Obviously, I'm going to do a couple of things like that where I just put in like, a hyphen here, or if this were me, obviously I'm going to go in and again, I'm going to use this as a structure. I'm going to 100% customize it and then I'm going to print. But I wanted to show you just how simple it is to create a dispute letter that, gives you the structure and allows you to, do what you got to do, right? Okay, so I'm going to give you a link to this. If you want to get instant access, you can. It's really, really simple. You're just going to go to the link that you're seeing right now on your screen. But again, here's the reason why we're doing this. I did earlier today, I met with what I consider my inner circle, right? So I have a group that I meet with quarterly, and they come from all over, but we meet here locally where I live, and we get together and I teach them some of the, most impactful things that are going to help them to remove the things from their credit report, right? And this is not something that just costs $139. This is something that is very, very expensive, and it's because it gets the results, right? So I'm not telling you to become part of my inner circle. What I'm telling you is that it's even people who meet with me in person and, whatever, it's not just in comments, that are telling me that they're having problems with the structure of the disputes, knowing when or how or with whom and all that kind of stuff. And that's why we're going back to the basics and covering this again, right? It has nothing to do with, a problem letter generator, a dispute reason generator, the generator project, the dispute project. It has nothing to do with anything other than understanding how to use factual disputes, right? Because I want you to get results. That's the entire point. I want for you to get results. And the only way you're going to get results is to dispute the right way. And it's not to think that credit repair or a credit sweep can happen in some astronomical, whatever, 60 days or, 30 days or whatever. Like, dude, show me someone who fixed their credit and added their lines and got score ready in 60 days for a mortgage that had negative items, and I'll do you credit for free. Like, that's how much bullshit I'm calling on that, dude. Like, doesn't work like that. So anywho, I just wanted to take a little bit of time and spend with you right now on how to write the perfect dispute letter, how to write a letter that gets results. And we are only talking about to the bureaus, okay? But I hope you have a wonderful evening. It is past dinner time, so I need to go feed my kids because they're calling me upstairs. So I will see you later. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Make sure that you subscribe if you have not done so and smash that like, all right? The link is already in the description. The link is on the screen, but we're going to get rid of this one. So we'll pull this one back up. If you want to see if I can fix your credit for you, again, head to the link that you see on your screen right now, my740.com, if you want to see if I can do this for you. Otherwise, take care of yourself. I will see you later. I'm not going to go live again later. I'm just saying, like, I will see you later. And you may want to go and check out some of the playlists that I have available for you, because I've put them together, like the bulletproof series, how to remove charge-offs, all those. And I do that specifically so that you can find what you're looking for very, very quickly. But now I'm just rambling, and I can hear the kids running upstairs. So I will see you later. Have a nice one. And that's it.